Hey, what's up everybody? Gene Fetty back here for Kiko Body Repair Products with another Friday afternoon live stream. Thanks for coming back. I hope you enjoy the show, the episode today. Today, we are going to answer the question, which is probably our second biggest question after last week's, and that is, what glue should I use? I like to always start this by saying, if you get online and start looking at glues, especially in the PDR community, you're going to see dozens and dozens, I think there might even be upwards of 30 different glues now. There's a lot of nuances to it. Hey, what's going on, Brock? What's up, Ryan Shutt? We here at Kiko have really simplified that process down to just 3 glues that we recommend. So today I'm going to go over the 3 glues, get a little bit more in depth on them, why we use them, what they are, and how to help you decide which one. And I'm going to show you that really is easier than a lot of people might make it out to be. So with that being said, I've got the glue guns fired up, and we've got some hot glue melted and ready to go. I'm going to move the camera around, or switch the camera around here, and we'll start talking about glues. So let me get off camera. Go to our trusty Kiko blue hood here, or door, I guess. Hey, what's up, Dave Fisher? Long time no see. Yes. Blake Baker is in the house. What's going on? Hey, what's going on, Clay? How are you? So we have got, actually, let me spin you around here and show you this way. So we have it broken down really to 3 glues. So all in the same gun. The temperature stays the same across the board. Hey, what's up, babe? Hey, what's up, Mike Peters? How are you? We have got it simplified down to 3 glues. Thanks, babe. Hey, Chris. Happy to have you from Virginia. So starting from left to right, Blake, thank you so much. The left, we've got our gray glue. That's tab weld. That is for really fast set times. When the air temperature goes above 85 degrees, this is definitely the glue to go to. It is a really hard pulling glue. It does not like cold weather. Well, really none of the glues like cold. This will get temperamental in the cold first. Next up is our green. So that's a good general purpose glue. It's actually, as far as I understand, the #1 selling glue of all time as far as PDR goes. A great general pulling glue, works for all your small and medium sized pulls. And then for a lot of the body techs that are on here today, we are going to be focusing heavily, just like when I teach, on using the Cam Auto Glue. That's our collision glue. So all of your big pulls, all of your hard complex pulls go right to here. Also, because it is our strongest pulling glue, all aluminum pulls will come through right there. So with that being said, let's come on over here and I will show you on the door panel. See if we can get this thing to spin around. There we go. Hey, Sammy, how are you? So I'm going to try to stay off camera so we can keep it all, keep everything going the right way. So I want to first show you where we're at temperature-wise. So currently the panel temperature is 59 degrees. This is more important than any glue that you're going to go with, and that is to get this panel into our 75 to 85 degree range. Really, if you control your panel temperature, you're going to get maximum pulls better than trying to adapt your glue. So let's go ahead. I've already cleaned this off with our isopropyl alcohol. I'm going to go ahead and warm the panel up first to get rid of the humidity. So with that, I'm in my shop. There's no flammable materials. Thanks for all the birthday wishes, guys. I really, really appreciate it. Temperature is important. Humidity is also important. So what I want you to see here is when I come in with this torch, you're going to watch a fog come across the panel. When that fog disappears, we know the humidity is left. If you don't have a torch, or you're in a shop where you can't use one, taking the heat gun and warming the panel to 120 Fahrenheit also does the same process. So let's come on in and get rid of this humidity. See that fog? That fog is all humidity that's stuck in the clear coat, that if we come in with our hot glue will create a layer of moisture in between. All 3 glues on our guns, we want the glue coming out between 3 and 350. I've found that on our GPR Star guns, right at 190 is where to go. So I just take my Sharpie and draw a line at 190. Just a quick look, I know I'm in the neighborhood. If you turn it all the way up, it will want to boil. So I'm going to start with, today I'm going to do everything with just regular round tabs. So we've got here, that's about a 25 millimeter. We're going to go with the tab weld glue. I want to get a nice ball of glue in here, like a large pea, I guess. We're going to place it on the panel, and this glue sets up really fast. So you can see the nice little bead of caulking around the tab is what I like to call it. That means we've got the perfect amount of glue. Now we've only had that tab on here for, I don't know, 20 seconds, if my count is right. This glue sets up super fast, even with a warm panel. So at 83 degrees, now watch how hard of a pull this will give you, right? That's called tab weld, and it's called tab weld for a reason, because that stuff just dries and hooks up and pulls hard. So that was a super fast set. Ready to pull in under 30 seconds, even on that size tab. To compare that, I'm going to go with the same tab and switch to the green glue. So get the green glue set up. Come in, exact same tab, exact same amount of glue. We go right next to it, place it. Notice we've got that nice bead of glue coming around. Let's check our panel temperature real quick. 75, we're still on our pull range. Checking the glue, it's down to tacky. Pulling it right around the same amount of time. This is the green compared to the tab weld. And it's still pulled, but you can see that given the same amount of time, this still needed to dry some more. So I'm going to leave that tab on there and bring the camera over for you. So do you see how there's all that white texture in there? That hey Gary, that tells us that the glue was still warm. Here, the tab weld actually left a little bit of residue. In the same amount of time, that set up that much faster and actually was getting close to the cold side. So that's there. Now I want to show you that same move, or that same pull, with Cam Auto. Same tab. Let me check my panel temperature to keep everything even. We're 69. I'm going to warm it up just a hair, so we're playing a fair ball game. 76. Let me give it one more shot. 89. So we're back to about where we pulled the tab weld. Got the Cam Auto glue. Same tab. Same size of glue. All of the guns are set at the same temperature. Let's go ahead and place it. A nice bead of glue coming around there. Sean, you would want that to reach around that 190. You would want to be on the high setting. On your smaller tabs, you can get away with it. If you get into any of the larger tabs, you definitely need to be on that higher. So we're ready to pull this about the same amount of time. Now this pulls harder than the other glues, but it has a much longer setup time. So given that same amount of time, get a little bit too much weight on the gimbal there. Look at how much texture and whiteness was in that glue. That tells you that it is still hot, given all the same variables. Oh, hold on a second here, guys. My gimbal just tapped out on me. We are losing the gimbal, guys. Hold on half a second. My apologies. I'm going to reset this thing. Flip it around. All right, technology is great when it works. Not so great when the mic falls off and pulls the phone sideways. Give me half a second here and I will be set back up so you don't have to watch jiggly video. Get this set on here. Need a camera crew. I might have to ask Kiko to bring me a camera crew out here. All right, I'm going to turn the gimbal on. It's going to flip sideways for 1 second. And then back up. And we should be good again. Sorry about that, guys. A little technical hiccup to make things fun. So let me flip back around and let's talk about this glue some more. So we set all 3 glues up for about the same amount of time. That's the first biggest thing I want you to notice is the tab weld in that same 30 seconds was already dry and pulling hard, and even on a 80-degree panel left a tick of residue from the release. The green on the same amount pulled hard, but not quite as hard as the tab weld, and you could see that it still was cooling down. The Cam Auto, which is the strongest pulling glue, was the slowest to dry. Come on, gimbal. Now let me show you what it looks like when we get the glue all the way set up to show you just how hard the Cam Auto pulls differently than the tab weld. When they all set the same, you know, when you're all fully cured, the green and the gray are going to pull about the same strength-wise. It's just simply a dry time. So here I'm going with the tab weld. Coming in. Give that panel a quick flash. Get rid of the humidity, warm our temperature back up. So I'm going to set tab weld there. We're going to let that dry. Use our cactus green here. Right there. And then come in with our Cam Auto on the last one. And set that. So no, where this can make a difference, certainly for PDR techs doing hail or when you need production, if you're pulling a bunch of dents, you want something like your tab weld that sets up super fast, right? So an extra 30 seconds for it to dry here on one pull doesn't make a big difference, but an extra 30 seconds on every pull when you're trying to do a rail with hail damage can make a huge difference. The green also sets up quick. The big difference here is when we get above an air temperature of 85 degrees, even if you're cooling the panel down, this green is going to struggle to set up where the tab weld is going to come right in and hook up. So now we've given all of these a little extra time to set. I'm going to come in and make some pulls. In fact, let me get this light back here so you guys can get a little better view of the action on the panel. So I'm coming in with the robo lifter. So this first one is the tab weld. You can watch how hard it pulls, and really a tab this size, you're pulling some pretty significant damage. Look at how we're flexing the panel out. But it's been on there for maybe a minute. I'm going to go ahead and break it loose to show you what the glue does. Nice hard pull, big high spot underneath, and even there it didn't fracture. It just pulled like crazy. Pulled hard enough to give us some texture on the paint. Coming in with the green. Same thing, you can really see that view there. Pulled hard, it released a hair sooner than the tab weld. So the tab weld may be a touch stronger. Now, the Cam Auto, our strongest pulling, let me make sure it's all the way set up. Nice and dry. We come in, and you saw that low that it was sitting in. That was just unintentional. Crazy hard, really harder than we would ever need to pull, even on that low. I don't want to rip the head off of this tab. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a little bit of alcohol. It's hooked up well enough and strong enough that I need to release it with the alcohol just like that. So strength-wise, what that demonstrates right there is that given equal size of tab and equal drying time or a little extra drying time, that tab weld pulled so hard or held so hard that I couldn't, even squeezing it most of the way with that lifter, it wouldn't release. However, both of these glues still starting to get a little brittle on the edge. It does not like cold weather. All three of these tabs pull really high. So I pulled both of the green and the tab weld. I pulled both to release. You should be able to see, let me pan down a little bit here, that the tab weld, that's the left high spot, pulled, looking at it in person, I would bet almost 50% harder given that same pull time. The Cam Auto, I was afraid to hurt the tab, but to demonstrate, let me go back here where we're not in a low, and I'll give you one full pull with that Cam Auto, just to really give you a, damn it. Sorry about this gimbal today, guys. I don't know why it's been acting up. It has been bulletproof for me up until this point. Give me 1 second. The camera's going to flip around on you. There we go. All right. So let's pan you up here. I'm going to glue the Cam Auto right behind here and really just lay into it just like these did and see if I can get it to even release. So I'm going to give you a quick flash to get rid of our humidity. Coming in with the Cam Auto, same tab, same temperature, everything set at 190 Celsius. Right there, just a slightly longer dry time. So guys, while that's setting up, here in fact, let me flip the camera around. Guys, while that's setting up, what questions can I answer for you about glue and glue choices? I can tell you for sure, in the body shops when you're doing your big pulls, I really just sort of push everybody towards the Cam Auto for those bigger, larger, complex pulls when you just need maximum pull. If you're doing production, you know, it's hail season's upon us. There's been storms all over the country. If you're getting rails that are being pushed to conventional because they're so bad and you don't want to or can't stud weld, these tabs and these setups are a great way to get the bellies up out of those dents so you can get through production. That's where the green glue and the gray tab weld glue can both really make an advantage for you. If you're working 30 dents and we can save you 30 seconds a dent, that's 15 minutes faster you're going to get through that rail. So let me flip you back around here. That Cam Auto glue is set up. Now, this is tab weld. That was the green. And we're out in the flat now. I'm going to go ahead and show you just how strong this Cam Auto glue is. As we're pulling, you should be able to see actually the tab flexing up here, and that's what I'm going to show you next is how the tab flex can really play into your repair. Man. So sometimes we see people talking about broken tabs. Putting Cam Auto on a small tab like this and pulling this hard, again, which you would never want to do, really does put a lot of stress on them. I think you probably heard the difference in snap between the three glues. Let's see just how high that pulled. It certainly took a lot more effort to get off. It's a pretty high spot. So let me pan down a little bit here for you. So that's high spot in the back. So that's Cam Auto. That's our gray glue, the tab weld, and our green right there. You saw the holding power difference of how hard that Cam Auto held up where these two released. So the tab weld pulled a little bit harder than the green. It set up a little bit faster. I think if we let the green go a little bit more, it might have been a slightly better hold. But as a whole, pretty similar glues. And then that Cam Auto is just simply the strongest glue we have. Now, flexibility of tabs can be just as important as the strength or flexibility of the glue. So these 3 pulls were all with ice tabs. I'm going to go ahead and make this pull. I'm going to switch to our original blue material out of the Dead Center series. So it's got the smaller shaft. You'll really be able to see, and I'm going to go with the Cam Auto glue to really show you how flexible it all is. Come in, there we go. Nice bead of glue there. Go right back here. There. And to show, yeah, it's the same size tab. I'm going to show you the difference that we can make. I better go right here. So now I've got the same size tab, 2 different materials. So I know that this show is a little bit, was all about glue, but how the glue works with and interacts with the tabs also matters. So our Cam Auto glue is the strongest and the most flexible, however, the longest setup time. If you remember back to here, where even letting it dry up, we still had a good bit of time before that was set to full. When we get into our temperature range of 75 to 85 degrees, I'm going to show you how these 2 different tabs react differently. So you just watched me pull here, and you watched how this was flexing up, using the glue's flexibility to stay in and pull and massage the dent out. I want to show you how much more flexible our original blue is. So both of these should be dry. And you really want to be watching through the feet of the lifter and look on either side and watch how the metal pulls up, and then pay attention to where the shaft meets the face to see just how flexible it is. So you can see there that the whole panel is moving up, but the shaft, and that's part of the Dead Center technology, the shaft is actually almost stretching up a little bit, which lets that face stretch, and you come in there. Now the ice here is pulling up, it's flexing, but it's a significantly more rigid tab. Now when we come in here on the original blue, you should be able to see a big difference. Let me grab a Knockdown to point for you. Looking specifically right here at the amount of flex we can get in there. So where that can work, like say you're pulling a deep dent, that extra flex, in fact you can see how we over pulled. See right here how it almost tore the glue up because it was flexing up so hard. What that does is it pulls the whole area up, but it really concentrates the pull right in there. It's actually a really beautiful pull to show that. Now when we do that same thing on the ice and we're pulling that hard, you still get that flex, but when it comes off, it pulls higher and harder. Let me bring this camera over here and hopefully not screw up my gimbal again. So you can see same size glue, same size tabs, way over pull on the ice side. You can even see how high it is through the glue. Over here, less of a pull, but it gave us more of a massaging motion as we were working the lifter to really ease the dent out. So, which makes perfect sense. The ice material pulls about 25% harder than here, but this is significantly more flexible. Both of these really show with that stress on the glue from the over pull here and here, how that Dead Center technology focuses the pull right underneath the shaft. Let me release these two tabs and show you what we've got. We should have two fairly different high spots. Yep. So if you look here, this was our ice material. Same size tab, same amount of glue, same setup times, and pulled to release. This makes a pretty broad high spot. Definitely focused in the center. You saw that from the way the glue was stressed out. The difference, and think of how these high spots create, and that helps you fix dents. Look at this one here, how much more focused the high spot is. So if I put set a tab in the middle just for size reference here, and let me see if I can bring you over without getting the gimbal to go crazy. Get a nice low view. So there's the difference. That's an ice dead center pull. See how broad and high that is? And then our original blue, playing with the flexibility of the tab, we're able to focus that pull down like here. So we really recommend for working up aluminum dents, we like the flex of the original blue to pull this up. I think I lost my comments. There we go. So guys, what, let me flip you back around here, get on camera for you. So what questions can I answer for you about glue and about choosing your glue that we haven't gone over yet? To review, we have our three glues. We have the gray. So Sean is asking, is the original blue tab smooth surface or the bumpy ones? So we still offer some of the bumpy tabs, the dimpled surface. However, all of our tabs come in smooth, and we have found that the smooth surface is what gives us the maximum pull. So if you're looking for a slightly lighter pull, the dimpled tabs are great. Other than that, everything we use is smooth, and everything today, both of these tabs here were smooth. So there's the ice tab we were using right there. And here is the original blue, both dead center tabs, to really focus the pull in the middle and show you how not only it concentrates, but by switching from the ice material to the original blue, how we can focus that high spot or that tight pull right down into there. So our glues, our three glues. Gray, the tab weld, is a super fast setup that pulls really, really hard. And when you get into the middle of summer and air temperatures go above 85, it's going to set up better than the green glue. The green glue, Tori is, I will answer that in 1 second for you, Tori. I've got it locked in here. The green glue, another great general purpose, slightly slower dry time than the tab weld, but still pulls about the same, just with a slightly longer setup time. The Cam Auto versus tab weld setup time, possibly double, maybe even longer. In fact, let's do a tab weld, which will be our fastest setup, versus a Cam Auto right next to each other. And we'll see if I can't do a countdown of, we'll see what they both pull at 30 seconds, and then we'll do one at 60 seconds. So that's the difference there. And then our last glue is the Cam Auto, or the collision glue. That is your strongest glue. It's the slowest setting glue, so it does take a little bit more time, but it pulls the hardest. It's the most flexible. It will also, on large repairs, if you get called away, reheat fairly well. So if you stick a big tab on the panel and you're worried about not wasting extra glue, you can come back, so you get called away, you can come back, warm that panel up, and it actually does a pretty good job of bringing the heat back into the glue and softening back up. So let's do a side-by-side test and show you a couple different dry times of tab weld, the gray, the fastest glue, and the Cam Auto. So let me get you flipped around here. Get this set back up. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and flash our panel off. In fact, let me move this just a hair to get to a cleaner part of the panel. There we go. Drop this down. There we go. So I'm going to stick right in this flat area here. Again, the whole thing's been cleaned with isopropyl. I'm just going to flash this off to warm it up and to get rid of any humidity. So I'll give you a quick temperature read. 78. Let me warm it up just a tick more. 90 degrees. So we like to work between 75 and 85. Right back up to 90. That'll give us a second to work. And I will go side by side with ice tabs. I know the Cam Auto takes a hair longer to set up, so we're going to let that go first. Right there. And then we'll come in with the tab weld, which is a much faster set. And you can see the smoke coming off of both guns. Our glue temperature is the exact same for both. So we like to be right around 190 degrees Celsius, between 300 and 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, that has been on there for maybe not even 20 seconds, and this maybe has a 10-second head start. Let's get a temperature read on each one. My laser go, there it is. So we are at 73 degrees, 74 degrees on the Cam Auto side, 77 on the tab weld. They've both sat there for about the same amount of time. I will go ahead and pull the Cam Auto. Let me go ahead and do that same pull on the tab weld. So what I want to show you here, Tori, both were strong pulls, that's for sure. The Cam Auto had not fully set yet. So we've got a lot of fuzzy white texture there. That tells us on the Cam Auto that it wasn't dry yet. Less on the tab weld, and we set that second. So this is, what's that Campbell again? So what I would tell you there is, even though the Cam Auto had not fully set and the tab weld was almost fully set, the pull on the Cam Auto, and we should see a noticeable difference in the high here. Winston, I will answer that question for you in 1 second. So let me come down here. So these are two high spots. In person, and I think it's showing up on camera. So this was Cam Auto, and this is tab weld. Both high spots for sure. The Cam Auto, to my eye, in person, if it's not shown on camera, is higher. Also, this is a little bit stronger part of the metal, being that close to the body line. So set times, this was still a little wet, but it pulled harder than our almost completely full set tab weld. So you have to make the decision on whether you want to maximize the pull strength. Like if you need, get flipped around here. So the way I decide is, if I need to get the strongest possible pull, or I need to stay in the pull longer, Cam Auto becomes the decision. If I need, hey Vince, if I need faster set time, like we're doing hail damage when you've got a lot of dents to get through, I will lean more towards like a tab weld or our green, simply for speed's sake. That's where it comes down to. If I can save 10 or 20 or 30 seconds per dent because the glue is set up and dried and ready to go, that becomes like exponential going across the rail. Somebody asked a question here. Vince, thanks for watching. Weston, you asked if you do hail dents, will it be possible to do it with glue without pushing rods? Yes and no. So with the way hail's getting now, with how severe it can be, there's simply some dents that are so deep that you can't get them out without push tools. That being said, there's also a ton of hail damage that we choose to do the whole panel with glue to help avoid R&I, to save damage to the backside of the panel. Sometimes you can't even get into the backside of the panel, so your roof rails, your unisides, are done almost exclusively with glue. If we can keep from disturbing a 360 camera system or a lane departure camera by glue pulling instead of doing R&I, it's absolutely a vital, vital tool. So my answer would be, yes, you can do a ton of hail damage with just glue. However, it's not the only way to do it. It's also not necessarily the most efficient way to do it across the board. We had a customer in class yesterday with 200 golf ball sized dents, and that was okay to get it ready for paint. If it was something that needed to be perfect, it definitely is going to be go down the PDR traditional tool route. So let me scroll back here and see. Tori, we got your question. Any other questions, guys? I am here for you. That's what these episodes are for, is to give you some tips and help you answer some questions. There we go. Brock's just sharing some videos. So guys, disturb a camera. Oh, okay. So Alex asks, why is it vital to not disturb a camera? So with a lot of these new, it all falls under ADAS. So ADAS, Advanced Driver Accident Collision Avoidance. I'm getting the acronym wrong, but so those are the cameras that are doing a 360 picture around the car. These are also the cameras that help control adaptive cruise control, lane departure, so if you're following out of your lane, and they are all calibrated to like the exact millimeter where they need to be. A lot of them, if you power them down at all, need to be scanned and recalibrated, and that is, I believe, the body shop we're at now, their calibration company is a minimum of a 2-hour charge to be able to recalibrate vehicles. It also has to be calibrated for liability's sake. So I heard a stat on the Toyota bumper camera sensor that if it was off by 1 millimeter in the automatic stop or the accident avoidance, that 1 millimeter of difference could be the difference of 40 feet of stopping power. It's of vital safety importance that we are giving back these cars in a safe condition. If you're unsure of it, make sure you're consulting all of your OE procedures and everything like that. Dalton asked, is Cam Auto a good choice for very focused pulls using 5 and 7 millimeter tabs? 7 and up, I would say yes, for sure. The 5 is a sort of difficult tab to use. So we may have a 20 or 30 or 60 second window on the larger tabs on when we can pull. When you get down to that 5 millimeter tab, I've found that you literally only have a few second window. The Cam Auto, in theory, would give you a harder pull. I think it might take a little longer to dial in your set time, but absolutely it works. Sean asks, says that it's cold here. Can I continue to heat the panel while the glue is setting? If so, does the start time start over? No. If I want to set up and work and keep a panel the same, the best way I've found to do that is with a heat gun. So in my shop, the way we keep it in the winter, around 60 degrees, which is where we're at today in here, if I set my heat gun up on low about 30 to 36 inches away from the panel, that helps me keep the panel at a set 80 degrees, and that one lets me know exactly where my dry times are. It also increases our window. So instead of having like a 20 or 30 second window to pull in, when you're at that 80 degrees, you almost have a almost infinite window of when you could stay open. So get about 30 seconds back, or 30 inches back to 36 inches back. Use your infrared thermometer and shoot for 80 degrees. Had somebody ask another question. Stainless versus aluminum versus steel. So somebody is asking that to Brock. So stainless, we don't get to work on a whole lot of those. I can only assume you're talking about a refrigerator. Stainless is its whole different animal, and I've not done enough or tried enough to really chime in on that. However, the aluminum versus steel question, I absolutely can answer. We have found, we locked like some of the best glue pulling mines in the world in Kiko headquarters, and we're like, we're not leaving until we have an aluminum process figured out. As far as glue goes, we absolutely recommend Cam Auto for all of your aluminum pulls. It's the strongest pull, it's the most flexible pull, and it will just hold up to some abuse, and that's what we need to do to be able to really, you almost have to over pull the aluminum, so we want everything working for that maximum pull. When maximum pull is what you need, we go right to the collision glue without question. Steel, you can use Cam Auto on any of your pulls. You can, in fact, use any of the glues on any pulls. However, a great rule of thumb, small and medium pulls on steel, stick with your tab weld or your original green. More of a preference unless you're above 85 degrees Fahrenheit. And then anything large and complex on a hard pull, jump right into your Cam Auto. It becomes a little bit of preference, but those are good rules to live by. We got that. We got Sean's answer. Alex is asking for somebody to call about a package. Brock, in case you missed that. Oh, yep, there we go. Yeah, so Christopher Thomas is asking if the panel needs to stay around 80 degrees. So following our 6 C's, and I'm sure Brock will have a link to the 6C card in here, panel temperature is huge. So we want to pull between 75 and 85 degree Fahrenheit panel temperature. When you start to go above that, the glue has a hard time setting up and it wants to stay stringy. On the cold side, as you go down, the glue actually begins to recrystallize and gets brittle and will shatter away. If I'm going to work on something long and complex, 80 degrees is the just perfect temperature for glue, without a doubt. And I think that we are all caught up on questions. Guys, this is the last call for questions, and we're going to wrap it up and get ready for a nice weekend off. We had a hailstorm here, so we've been nice and busy, but I wanted to make sure we did not miss the Friday afternoon live stream to get your questions answered. We will be back next Friday, same time, 12 Central, 1 Eastern, for another 30-minute live stream. If there's a topic you'd like us to hit, make sure you reach out and message myself or message Brock, and we'll see if we can put it together. Sean has a question. On a hail car, what percentage of pulls end with tolerable high spot that needs knockdown? So Sean, that all comes down to really your technician's preference. So myself, I would not, let me flip this camera back around. I can tell you that if I were working on a hail car and somebody was pulling highs like this, I would be not having a great day. I prefer, if we were going to pull and leave a high spot to knock down, which is how I personally like to finish a dent. I actually like to pull my dents, just see how slight that high spot is right there. I like that because I know it's up. That helps me get the pit out, and then it's a quick, just a couple of seconds of tap down for me. As far as what percentage of dents end up needing tap down, I would say likely the majority of them. On lighter damage on top flat panels, you can control your pull by adjusting the knob on your lifter so that when you make a full pull, it's not necessarily pulling the entire length, but just a small pull. If you really dial it in and your damage is super consistent, you can get to the point where you're pulling it almost perfectly flat every single time. However, I would say as a PDR technician, most of the dents we're pulling on a hail car, I would end up tapping down with a little high spot. I saw one other question coming in. Oh, you're welcome, Chris. Happy to answer your questions. So Dave Brinkley, thanks for dropping in. Perfect. Guys, that's it. Thanks for joining us on a Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Like I said, make sure you come back and see us next Friday, 12 Central, 1 Eastern, for another 30-minute or so live stream answering your questions about GPR. Knockdown advice on existing dents on a panel. Thanks for the birthday wish, Sean. I really appreciate that. Knockdown advice on an existing dents on a panel. I guess it depends on your how severe the high spots are. I like, in our line, I like the ice knockdowns. We use a selection. Let me see if we can get over here. I've got 2 of them. I don't have my steel one at the moment. So ice-wise, here are 2 options. So this big broad one, there we get it on camera. That's going to be for knocking, on my panel, this here. Gotcha. So I would start with, let's flip this around. If we were knocking down these, I may at least start with a nice broad knockdown like this. And then as I get down to detail it out, come in with a sharper one. This damage here, that high spot, got my camera stuck. A high spot like that, I'm just gonna go straight to my normal knockdown here and tap it down. On aluminum, I may switch to the 4mm polished knockdown just to get more drive, but that's where we would go. Again, the knockdown really is one of those tools that it depends on the technician's preference, where you're at. So I hope that answers your question, and it won't scroll. Gary, I think. So guys, again, thanks for watching. KikoTabs.com. We've got links to all of our training and our free trainings, paid trainings. Everything is there in the description of this video. Can't wait to see you next week. You guys have a great day. Stay safe and stay healthy.